Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
Geeky Sparkles, a woman who writes fiction, by the way.
But all men hate it because they have no empathy.
All men hate it. Yeah, we're going to talk about this.
Most of our books are sold to men, just saying.
They are, yeah. I'd say it's about 80% male audience. We're going to talk about this article from John Trent out on Fandom Pulse. There's a feminist activist getting destroyed after claiming men's hate for fiction is directly correlated to them being devoid of empathy. Now, if you ask other feminist activists, they're going to say that men are too preoccupied with fiction and men need to be pushed out of fiction. And I think you could argue that in the last 10 to 15 years, a lot of men have been pushed out of fiction spaces, fandom
especially
spaces.
Fantasy.
Science fiction, the comic book industry, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There has been an attempt, again, this is just my personal observation, there has been an attempt to actively push men out of those spaces that they have historically, you know, been a huge part of, right? Whether it was authors or a fan or whatever it was, actors, and everything has become female focused. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to bring more women into the fold. But again, it seems to be this zero-sum game where, you know, we'll take an existing fandom, you know, like Star Wars, something like that. It had a more male skewing fandom historically. You know, there are a lot of female fans of Star Wars. I'm not saying there aren't, Geeky being one of them.
Oh,
but,
always, yeah.
But they have actively tried to push male fans and, you know, creators out of that space, chasing the female audience. So it's kind of weird to have a feminist being like, you know, men just hate fiction. It's like, no, men hate modern fiction because it's obviously not for them, and that was probably the point.
Well, you mean like romantasy type?
Romantasy, like look at this. This is, oh my god. Okay, I just caught the title. This is coming from Wargamer. Which, again, war games used to be like a man thing, right? Like the men would sit around.
And that's not saying women couldn't play.
No, they could.
That wasn't really something that a lot of women wanted to play.
They didn't want to.
It's something called preferences, but anyway.
Yeah, they didn't want to play stupid war games with the stupid little soldiers and whatever. But anyway, so romantasy is a big thing now. If you go to a Target or Walmart or any bookstore, you're going to see that most fantasy now is romantasy. Now, D&D is getting in on it too. So this is steamy new D&D novel flirts with the extremely popular romantasy genre. And
lifestyle
this is,
brand.
Exactly. This one's called The Feywild Job.
I just know our kids were telling me how they went to Walmart and were picking up these books, and then they flip open and you could find they were just full of all kinds of. There was one about that was supposed to be geared at teens about fisting and stuff like that.
Oh my god!
Yeah, Penguin Random House.
Penguin Random House. Yes. So, you know, the trick is to skip about 3/4 of the way through the book. That's where all the spicy stuff happens. And I've learned that. Like, I'm like, okay, is this a dirty book? Let's just go.
He literally would go through the store and pull them up and then flip 3/4 of the way in and start looking and be like, yep. Then put it down. Yep.
Something throbbing purple warrior or something. Yeah, there we go, guys. And a lot of it's like, it's so weird. You always hear about women being like, men in their porn and they're dirty. And I'm like, this stuff is like, I don't think the D&D book, but so this stuff is like hardcore.
I don't want to hear it. Okay. I've read some of those books, not those ones, back like even like in the 90s and stuff, you know, in the 80s. It's basically romantasy and a lot of things, but they were romance novels, and a lot of them were mostly tame, but there were ones that were like, holy you know? And I was like, don't give me women aren't pervs. Women are total pervs.
Yeah, and I don't remember very many male skewing fantasy books fantasizing about having sex with minotaurs or anything. You know what I'm saying? It's like a whole thing.
Well, you could do a bear in Baldur's Gate, but you know.
That's true, but it's a man who turns into a bear. And there's definitely a double meaning there. Anyway, let's talk about this activist on X. I am convinced. I mean, some of these people are just dumb. Some of them, I think, are just putting out stupid takes for engagement because they get paid for it.
Well, I was going to say, a lot of them is engagement. Yeah, because if you get a lot of people interested in it or like want to tell you what's wrong about you, they're going to comment. You're going to get paid.
And I think one of the worst things Elon Musk did, I understand that they were trying to kickstart X and they were trying to get people paid, creators paid or whatever. but the way that they pay is engagement. And so people put these stupid opinions out there to try to get more engagement. And I think it's intentional. Then you look and then the accounts are actually from like, India or Pakistan or something like, you know what I'm saying? Nigeria. So anyway, let's talk about this before we get into it any further. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. You'll get woohoo if you do.
Woo.
So yeah, this is John Trent on Fandom Pulse. John Trent, who started bounding in the comics years ago, and now he's over at Fandom Pulse. After claiming men's hate for fiction is directly correlated to them being devoid of empathy, feminist activist gets absolutely destroyed. She gets bodied. She got destroyed.
It sounds like she has it coming.
There's so many jokes. She gets bodied. She has it coming. She got bodied after making the absurd claim that men's hate for fiction is correlated to them being devoid of empathy. So this is Dehanish Tamoon or whatever. Aqua Moon. I said Aqua Boob. It says Aqua Moon BB. Men's hate for fiction is directly correlated to them being devoid of empathy. Like, of course, you don't care about stories about other people. You only care about yourself.
Wait, I thought you were only supposed to write and consume media that relates to you. You're not allowed to voice act a character. It's not like you're supposed to, stay in your own lane. But when they stay in their own lane and don't read this shit, that they have no empathy and they don't care about people that aren't like them.
Apparently.
I wish they would make up their minds.
This translates to their taste in all art. I see so many men who can't name 3 female artists they listen to. I don't know, Janis Joplin, Stevie Nicks. Who else do I got? Dolores O'Riordan on my shelf. I got a bunch. Patti Smith.
I know our son has, most of what he listens to are female artists.
A lot of alt rock groups now are female led. Or enjoy movies that are far removed from their realm of existence. What? Imagine.
Well, I'm sorry, a lot of men don't like rom-com. Get over it.
Imagine missing out on amazing art just because you don't personally relate.
Well, okay.
What?
Imagine being this dense. It has to be for engagement. No one's this stupid. Because look at the views. They got a shit ton of money from this. This is what they're trying for. But you can't. This is like the argument that people try to make. Well, if you're not interested in it, you're not going to watch it. And you're gonna watch things that relate to you or things you're interested in. That applies to everyone. And that's like when things do poorly, which I want to reiterate some of these films and things that she's upset about that did poorly. Half the population's women, and they didn't go either. So yes. I'm just saying, maybe something just sucks and it just sucks. But you can't tell people they have to like things they don't like just to make you happy. It doesn't make them a bad person. It just makes you an idiot.
It's not for you, I guess.
Yeah, that's what they'll tell you. Don't come, it's not for you. And then when it doesn't work, they're mad. It's the men's fault. Well, you told them not to show up.
If you're a man and you enjoy anything other than self-help books, you're the minority. Yeah. Many of the great classics are written by men, but look up the numbers. Men right now are neither writing or consuming nearly as much fiction as previous times. That's what I'm speaking on. Now, just put a pin in this, because there's a lot of talk from male fantasy and science fiction authors and comic book creators that they're basically being kept out of the ecosystem altogether. They're not making books for them. They're not hiring male writers to write books. They're pushing the romantasy. They're pushing kind of soft science fiction.
Yeah, did you see the D&D book written by a dude about, actual D&D stuff? No, it's a romantasy book.
And then they have to disclaim, oh, well, D&D was made by a bunch of white dudes, so we're sorry.
Right.
We're sorry. And then we're going to turn the warrior from the cover of the basic set into a thick black woman. And just, you know what I'm saying?
There are tons of dudes reading books. It's just not what you want them to read. And then, again, if they're not doing well, that implies that women aren't reading them either.
Didn't Disney say they were going to double down on trying to find male audiences again? Because they spent the last 10 to 15 years chasing off the male audience?
Yes, and the one franchise they bought to try to win some of the male audience back was written by a woman. I'm just putting out, hey, guess what else is written by a woman? Harry Potter. But,
yeah, isn't that ironic, right? J.K. Rowling, one of the most successful female authors of all time, but she's a monster because you don't like her views on women's rights and trans issues and stuff like that. So she doesn't count, even though a lot of men read Harry Potter too, right?
Yeah,
so
well, that's because they're bigots.
Count. Yeah, and I would say currently modern fiction, the Harry Potter books are still some of the biggest sellers out there, and they're perennial favorites. But
I think dudes read, but I think a lot of what they read, they don't necessarily read novels so much as they read other things. Like someone brings it up later on. They do comics, or they read light novels, or they invested stories and fantasy stories that aren't necessarily in book form.
Yeah. So the initial post got a community note. That's one of the good things about Elon's changes to access
Good.
the
Community
community
note
noting.
this cow up and down.
Note her up and down. Yeah, that actually I think was a light novel too. Milk this cow up and down. Anyway, men are the primary consumers of the two biggest fiction markets on the planet: video games, literally
Yes.
interactive fiction, and anime, manga, light novels.
Yes.
Global gaming revenue is 200 billion plus annually, dwarfing books and film combined, and the audience is still the majority male.
It is, but there are a lot of women who read these things too, and that's just it. Again, people not reading them, they're not doing well, doesn't mean that anything to do with being a man or a woman, because there are a lot of women who don't like this shit either, and there's a lot of women out there who read fantasy stuff and who like male singers and who like male performers, and you know what I mean. This is stupid. This is idiotic.
It has to be engagement bait. I mean, I can't.
Has to be, yeah.
Well, I say that, but I'm like, this is probably some idiot from Booktok who's like 23 years old and lives in a freaking TikTok Tumblr bubble. Well, I guess Tumblr's not.
Man, I should make a new account and just start posting this idiotic hot takes and see how much money I can make.
What? Yeah, there you go. So what would happen if a male author created the kinds of books that these female romantasy authors are creating, but they did it, they gender swapped it. So
they have a hissy. You're objectifying women.
Could you imagine instead of having the Minotaur, and this is actually a thing, the Minotaur milking farm, morning farm, whatever, where they're women are milking the male Minotaurs for their, you know what? What if you actually had a male character whose job it was to get breast milk from the Minotaurs? Mm-hmm. Can you imagine the backlash?
Oh, yeah, they would have a hissy.
Because they had all kinds of shit fits over anime and light novels about like, oh, it's like a harem and it's sexism and da-da-da-da. But it's okay if the woman, the female protagonist of her job is basically jack off minotaurs. That's okay?
They're reading these books about these women. And then that's what happened too. Like that one instance where they had that, convention or thing for these
oh, yeah. The guy
and then a guy
got
air tagged. They had they kept grabbing him and they grabbed his penis. A bunch of different women grabbed it. And he was like completely shook up and upset, understandably. And like it was sexually harassed to the place where, like I said, they literally put an air tag on him to try to follow him home. All right. If you switch that and made it a woman, you'd never hear the end of it. Because it was a dude, it was buried. It is bullshit.
Or other fluids from the bull.
No, it's bullshit.
Anyway, so Luria, is it Korea? Korea. I'm a male. I've heard of him before. I've never actually spoken to him, but so I'm a male and a New York Times bestselling novelist who's written 33 books, which have sold millions of copies worldwide, and the majority of my readers are men. You're a fucking idiot.
Yes, you
another
are.
Individual,
she is a fucking idiot.
Yeah, another individual wrote, Victor here wrote, men hate fiction. It's why we love Star Wars, Star Trek, Dune, Warhammer, Halo, comic books, comic book movies, Lord of the Rings, Jack Reacher, Indiana Jones, Cyberpunk, Red Dead Redemption, American Psycho, Call of Duty, Destiny, Blade Runner, Sick Road, Nice Guys, Step Brothers, The Odyssey, Percy Jackson, Harry Potter, etc. What a retarded tweet.
I like a lot of those too. And you know what? I'm a girl.
But men are being, and this isn't me being all sexist, but you know what? If I sound sexist, whatever. I don't give a shit. Okay. I don't give a shit. Men are being actively pushed out of these spaces, right? Mm-hmm. They are. So if they're not interested in what's being sold right now, it's because the market's not interested in them.
And if they wrote the stuff that, like you said, that these women are writing, they'd be accused of objectifying women and all this other stuff. So they can't go to that space either, at least not under their real name.
Yeah.
I have to be under a fake, female name.
Yeah. And J.K. Rowling, why do you think it was J.K. Rowling? Because Joanne Rowling, and at the time when she started writing Harry Potter, fantasy books were predominantly written by men. So she used J.K. Rowling so they didn't know she was a woman.
Right. So your guy, just do the same thing and call yourself like Betsy Cummings or something like that.
Betsy Cummings. Oh, my God. All the books by Betsy Cummings. Yes. Anyway, John Douglas, another author, y'all fucking live. He was the one who actually said that, if you go to Target or Walmart, it's just all romancy. There's no traditional sword and sorcery fantasy books anymore. It's all porn, basically.
How about She Be Cummings?
She Be Cummings? She Be Cummings Round the Mountain? She Be Cummings and Round Mountains. That's another.
There you go.
Yeah. So this is another writer, Katie Room. This is a woman. I think I sprained something rolling my eyes so hard.
Dolly Partings.
Dolly Partings.
There you go.
Oh, God. Yeah, the best little whorehouse in insert fantasy world here. There you go. With Dolly Partings. Parting the curtain, parting the veil, parting the meat veil.
Yeah.
That's my new book, Parting the Meat Veil by Dolly Partings. God-Foe Universe. Men write fiction for all of history. Men get blacklisted from publishing industry for diversity. Men hate fiction. Yeah, that's exactly it.
Exactly.
Again, why would you? Why would you want to read this stuff, which is obviously, it's not even that the stuff's not for you. It's that the people in the industry and the people that prop up the industry, the journalists and all that, and it's across the board. It's not just fiction. It's also comics. It's also video games. It's also movies. They have made their disdain for you very, very well known. So why would you bother? You go back and read stuff from 20, 30 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Or you move on to something else. And I have to wonder. I mean, part of me is like, is the reason that young men are getting into these self-help books and these alpha male books and all this shit is that they have been pushed out of these fantasy spaces. Like normally these dweebs would read, books like that, or they'd play D&D, or they'd read fantasy books, or get into science fiction or read comic books, but there's no other place for them. So they go find Andrew Tate.
No, you heard that, or the fact that the other ones that are like reading these books that these people like, that this woman likes, are probably just trying to get into her pants. They're just carrying it around. They aren't reading that shit. They're just reading enough to be able to talk about it, to be like, I'm
an ally. I'm a male feminist.
You're empathetic. Oh, let me get on my back and part the curtains. I like this next person, Watcher of the Damned. I'm a science fiction writer who happens to be a woman, and approximately 75% of my audience are male.
Yes.
Write good stories that challenge uplift?
Challenge and uplift.
Yep. It's hard. It's really small on my screen. Men will read them. My fantastic readers from all walks of life. But men are my biggest cheerleaders. Again, our stories are mostly written by me, mostly read by men.
Yeah. And there's nothing...
A lot of women, too. There's a lot of girls, too.
Yeah, there's
a lot. It's a lot of men, and that's fine.
Well, we need more titties and knockers and...
Not in the stuff I write.
Peen. If you have more peen.
Well, there you go. Just make a fake female name and... You can be Dolly Partings.
Dolly Partings.
Or She Becomings.
She Becomings. Yeah, there we go. Sorry, I'm thinking all this shit. And it's just porn. It's all it is. This is like Dungeons and Dragons. Like if you told 15-year-old me that this shit...
You'd be reading it if you're 15-year-old you. You'd be like, is there pictures?
Oh my God. Well, no, because back then, if you were into Dungeons and Dragons, a lot of times you were also into like Heavy Metal magazine and all the stuff that was going on. And it was like, oh my God, the boys reading the titty comics. It's like, well, yeah, but it's probably still tamer than this shit.
But here's the thing though, a lot of dudes might read this stuff just because, it's very racy, especially if there's photos. So
what's a Feywild job?
Then you get mad about that one too.
What's a Feywild job? A hand job by a fairy? I mean, is that...
I don't know what a Feywild job is.
Because I don't know. I don't know if I want to know what it. Now I'm going to have to go find this book in the store and skip to about 75% through the book. That's about where the sweet spot is. And I'm going to find out what a Feywild job is. I'm going to tell you.
But I'm not going to make them on the stream. So I heard this video.
It involves minotaurs.
No. It was about finding sweet spots, but I'm going to be good. Anyway.
See, I'll poke. You'll poke your eye out.
I know. I was going to say it's poke. Anyway, let's just wrap this up.
Let's wrap it up.
If you're a dude, you're just a non-empathetic piece of shit because you don't read pieces of shit.
Oh my God. All right. Please subscribe. I don't know why you would, but please subscribe. We'll talk later.
We have more reasons to subscribe to us and read this book.
Yeah, there you go. Bye.